Welcome everyone to L2R2, a PlayStation podcast. My name's Fonzie. I'm joined by my UK bruv from another mum, Callum Monroe. Callum, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah, same old, same old. I was put on Twitter earlier. We're kind of the LTRT podcast today, for one day only.
That was pretty cool. I wish I would have thought of that myself. And when you put that together, I was like, yeah, that's awesome. That's why I keep around for that beautiful mind and that very
every now and then the gears sort of turn. So.
yeah. You're not just staring at me with like a blank face this time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how you been?
Yeah, been good. Just everything sort of is again slowly, week by week, getting back to normal. Was able to start training again yesterday, and it feels
Really
like I've been hit by a
nice.
bus now.
I'm sure.
Well, actually, it was on Tuesday, and I've got my second session tonight, and yeah, I can barely walk, so I don't know how that's going to go. But yeah, no, it's nice to do that. We're doing it outside, which is a bit of a challenge because I'm not very good with the sun, and just the raw sun on my skin is just not
Right.
nice when I'm doing exercise. So, but yeah, no, it's good. It's again, it's just more normality. So it's welcome. But yeah, how about you? What's it like down your ends?
That's awesome to hear. Yeah. Yeah, same old stuff. We are not as advanced as you are. I wish we were there, but yeah, if anything, it seems like we're going backwards.
Hmm.
Just trying to stay positive and live life. I keep watching the most depressing stuff, so that doesn't help either. Like I'm in this just
Yeah,
depression loop where if it's not like actual
yeah,
things happening on TV, it's like the fiction that I watch. But
yeah.
other than that, yeah, living life. I'm going down these crazy YouTube rabbit holes where I'm back on. I was always a big like fan of the idea of aliens and stuff like that growing up, and I think I
Mhm.
became more skeptical, and now I'm back on the train of I think aliens are real. I
Yeah.
think they're coming. Where do you land on that? Did you ever, are you curious about that kind of stuff at all? Like, where do you feel
I,
about that?
yeah, I love it. I'm not really like into sci-fi and that. I mean, obviously, I think aliens are, or there's something out there. I mean, because the universe is so big that, I mean, they even sort of say that the universe is so big that there's probably something exactly the same as what we are now, just like in a distance away that's like inconceivable. So, I mean, there's obviously something out there, but yeah, I don't know. It's all very interesting to theorize over and watch all these documentaries and things like that. And I think I talked about The Expanse fairly recently, and I
Yeah.
think that deals with like alien life really well. Really like in a really grounded manner, in a really sort of realistic and believable way. And yeah, I think The Expanse is pretty good for that kind of thing. But yeah, so what have you been watching, like Ancient Aliens with that guy with like the bird's nest hair? Or
No, I tap out. If anything, I feel like that like it's just I don't know. I need evidence, right? But that's the problem with
Mm,
this whole thing is that there really is very little fucking evidence. It's just like
yeah,
human testimony, just people saying like, "Oh, this happened to me," and you go, "Okay." But a lot of it is just
yeah,
like these compilations of what is the best data we have, or like evidence rather. And so it's just like going down that kind of rabbit hole stuff. But like one of the big weird
yeah.
things in the States, at least with the US government, which is weird that they're releasing this like drone footage. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's drone footage that they've put up online where they say our drones caught this, UFO. We don't know what it is. Here you go.
Mm,
And they just put the footage online.
yeah.
And so that was strange for like the first time a government, there has been other governments that do it, but like first time US has
Hmm.
said, here's where we have caught something, we don't know what it is. Usually they kind of like
Hmm.
have an explanation or whatever.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
yeah.
But I do find the human testimony interesting. There's like these classic stories of people that say they were abducted, and who knows what the hell what actually happened to them. But
Yeah.
it's just weird and creepy and like interesting to hear them talk about it. But I mean, I just grew up like just was always super interested in that stuff. But I remember
Yeah.
like in elementary school we had this. As soon as we could start, checking out our own books, of course, there's a huge library, but like there's one sliver of a shelf that's like all unexplained paranormal stuff. And I'm going like, hey, what is this? Like we have so much of our history
Yeah.
of everything that's like laid out, explained, and this one tiny sliver where it says, hey, we don't know what the fuck's going on here. Here are books about that. And as a kid, I'm
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
I want to know what that is. And so I
Yeah.
just, would
Yeah.
jump first, head first into that. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm back on it.
So you're sort of relapsing
Yep.
on your obsession with the unexplained.
And I always watch it at night, man. And that's the worst thing to do because I'm
Yeah.
assuming they're going to blast off my roof and abduct me somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in
Yeah,
constant
no, that's
terror
cool.
lately.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I like what you're saying about like the sort of archives that get like declassified and all from NASA, and they're always really interesting to watch. And but yeah, I mean, hopefully in our lifetime there'll be something more concrete, something more
Right.
obvious that you can't really denounce or anything. But yeah, like you said, it's all very no evidence. It's all sort of like, what we don't know what this thing is, but it could be a number of different things. And
Right.
but yeah, like I said, it's fun to theorize and watch and think about. It's kind of scary to think about in a lot of ways. I just hate space. It's just creepy. That's another reason I really like The Expanse, because I think The Expanse sort of understands that, just the whole vastness of it is like really uncomfortable. And I think, that's something that I find creepy about space, is just how ridiculously big it is, and just the idea that we're even on a planet and there are other planets, and it's just strange. I just don't like it very much.
Yeah, no, it is crazy when you start to think about it. It's almost like there's no real reason why we should be here in the first place. Like with as far as like how a planet functions, like we live on the very thin crust of a planet, but even like sandwiched between the atmosphere, where that atmosphere is very tiny, and we just have to hope that nothing crashes into us. And we're lucky enough that we were close to a sun in the first place and have water on it. And then, but if you escape that little bubble, that's just radiation and nothing for millions, billions of of whatever of miles around you. It's like it's almost like everything's against life in general. So it's like there's no reason for us to fucking be alive in the first place on this planet. Just like statistically, there's like no other situation. But it is crazy to like try and quantify all that stuff.
Yeah, it's not nice.
Yeah, I usually do that in my head at like 1 a.m. when I'm trying to go to sleep. That's when I start to think about all this. I go,
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, any other anything going on with you?
I don't think so. It's been quite a sort of a quick week, and I think mostly just because it's been quite unproductive. Haven't had the best of weeks in terms of like feeling motivated to do anything. I've been playing a bit of Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, just just been lounging around and not much.
Yeah, same here. Let's talk about Tsushima. So we have some articles we can get into, but also we're a week now with playing with Tsushima. I haven't spent as much time as I wish I would have this whole week, and I'm sure you're like way ahead of me. But how are you feeling? About at least your initial in real time thoughts of the game.
Yeah, so I think I'm probably about, I'd like to say about 20 hours in or so, I think.
Yeah, not bad.
And I'm really enjoying it. It's really fun, really enjoyable game. I think it is very generic in a lot of ways. I think even at first I was like, oh, it's really cool how there's no map, and I'm not like getting stressed out because the amount of things on my map. But I think as time goes on, it sort of does get a bit more generic in its open world, and you start to realize it's mostly the same as others. But saying that, it's done well, so it's a really well done open world. I think the story is again quite mediocre. I don't really care too much about the story, but yeah, it's really great fun. The combat's good fun. It's I think sort of when I read about a lot of people saying it's quite unpolished, it's quite generic. I think I do agree with that. But I think where it stands out for me is, aesthetically, like not just its visuals. I mean, it's probably the best looking game I've played, but also the sound is just amazing. Like the sound, like the audio cues for when you you do a parry, or even like when the archers are about to fire an arrow and they like shout out for their team to duck and things like that. There's some really cool, audio and visual things that I think just make it really enjoyable, and it makes it stick a bit more, and yeah, I just find it super relaxing to play, like, which I didn't really expect. I almost feel like this is what people who play Animal Crossing feel like it's just I could just sit down and play it, and relax and not worry about anything. And I think that that's quite an impressive way to get your game across and to make people feel when they're playing it.
Yeah, no, I mean, those are great points. Like, I know that was some of the criticism going in, was that there is that unpolished there. You kind of are reminded, and especially for me, like early on, you're reminded this is a game. And I mean that by like saying, like, in comparison to Last of Us, the sequel, that they just went across the bar on, like, or over the bar in every aspect of that game, whether it's like the crazy, super detailed, over the top detailed animations and like the story, the mocap. It's like, and then here, it's not like this is bad, but it's not fair to compare them. But being this the right after that exclusive, this is the next exclusive down the line. I find myself comparing it. So when I see the janky animations, I see sometimes the weird, acting in it, like performances in it, and where I'm snapping into places, or I see the AI just being super duper dumb. I'm reminded this is the game, and it's not a negative thing. It's just kind of interesting to compare that with The Last of Us 2. I didn't have those times where I was pulled out of the experience as much. But it is still, I mean, it's still a solid fucking game. It's just, you're reminded of those things. And it's interesting. I am having fun with it for sure. It's just, I guess you have to kind of always remember that, this is a game, and Sucker Punch is doing something they've never done before. They really are pushing it to the limit, but I think they still need to work on these little aspects and adjust. And the next one, I'm sure I'm hoping they're going to like adjust these criticisms and completely blow it out of the water. But it's complicated, right?
Yeah. I think it's a great game. And I think, like I said, it is very gamey, but I think that's a good thing. And especially in terms of how, you can swap out your armor, because your armor gives you different benefits and things like that. So you can even, like, just before you're about to have a fight, change your armor to change your situation, and you get all your different cosmetic stuff and all of these crazy tools and things. It's very gamey, and I like that. It's fun, and just the gameplay in general is fun. And you're saying about the performances and things. Yeah, and I think they're okay. I think they're definitely passable. I think actually Jin, the main character, and Khotun Khan, the villain in the game, I think they're both performed really, really well. In fact, Jin's performance is, in a way, what makes the game so relaxing as well. His voice acting's awesome. I think the fact that he's a samurai, he's very honorable, has his like feelings in check, even in like this chaotic setting. I think that's what helps get across this really relaxing feeling, and that sort of coincides with the nice music and everything. And I think it makes you sort of feel that sort of zen that like samurais feel, sort of in chaos kind of thing. And especially with how, it's a viable option to just walk up to the front gate of a camp and take on everybody. And it's just got a lot of calm about it, and I really like that. And that sort of emphasized again with the things like the haikus and just following the foxes or the birds, and it's just very pleasant to play. And I think that when you then look at the negatives, like the AI is really, really bad. The gameplay, whilst it's fun, it's not a huge, like, especially the stealth is very, very generic. It can get a little bit old sometimes, with a bit repetitive with some of the side quests and things like that. But I think because it is so pleasant to play, you just don't think about that. I mean, again, liking it to sort of something like Animal Crossing or No Man's Sky, where it's just peaceful and nice to play. It doesn't matter if things get repetitive or methodical, because you're just having a nice, enjoyable time playing it. And that's sort of my experience so far with it. Is I just enjoy being in that world, looking at the amazing scenery, listening to the really nice music, and everything's very responsive. And so any frustrations I have with like the gate with maybe the AI or the controls or any of the sort of jankiness, I just don't really mind, because I'm already so relaxed from the game, really.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. And I'm early on in it, but I can tell everything else is so strong. Like, it keeps me wanting to be in that world. I mean, it's so fucking beautiful. The audio's on point. You're right, where it's like, it's interesting because you mentioned these like relaxing kind of zen points, but there's combat. I mean, it's heavy with how brutal the combat is, but it still does this like idea of balancing everything going on. I really dug. They do change these excuse me, these aspects of like RPGs, open world RPGs, where they've improved on them. So like there's issues where maybe I'll be running for a main quest, and along the way there's someone who like flags me down. There's another optional side quest,
Mm-hmm.
but it seems like at least early on they're purposely making sure that your side quest is on the way of the main event anyway. So like I can keep doing stuff along the way. When I'm running on the horse, I can keep grabbing items that are on the ground. Like I don't have to jump off my horse to collect like bamboo or whatever.
Yeah.
I dug that a lot, especially with they kind of are managing the whole like avoiding a bunch of stuff on screen with the wind guiding you. I really dug that effect because it just keeps me in the world. So they are improving on, a lot of the issues that plague RPGs. It's just, there are other things that they're failing at, but it's still solid, positive experience so far for me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the progression and the sort of direction that the game sort of tries to give you without being too, overbearing, it is really good. And yeah, I think there's a lot of that sort of like free flowing feel to, when you're on a quest and you come across something else, and it just feels so easy just to go and do something else, or nothing feels wrong or anything. And even a really minor detail that I've noticed is, you'll go up to an NPC or a character who you're about to talk to, and they will start saying something, and then it will sort of like cut them off and it'll go into the cutscene. And that happens in loads of games, where you have to go talk to an NPC, but before you've like pressed the interact button with them, they've already sort of said some bit of dialogue. So when you start that cutscene, they'll maybe like repeat it or set something else. But Ghost of Tsushima seems to understand exactly what's been said at all times, so it just flows into each sequence really nicely. And again, I think all of this just goes back to, it just makes the experience so pleasant and so nice. And even when you said about the combat, the game's very zen and very peaceful, but even with the combat, I mean, just the way Jin holds himself, portrays himself, talks, even when he's in combat, he seems very calm and collected, and that in turn makes me as the player feel very calm and collected. When I play Sekiro, I feel frustrated and scared all the time because I know how difficult everything is, and I don't feel like my character in the game is suited to deal with everything that's being thrown at him. But I know that Jin, because of how he's been portrayed in the game, and obviously I've played with him, I know that he can take on whatever's coming at him. You feel like the most powerful warrior on that island, and I think that just all it just gives you this really nice, mellow, pleasant sort of feeling throughout. And I think their focus on making sure that side quests don't feel like they're veering you off of a path and everything. I think it all just accumulates to create this really nice, just enjoyable game that's fun to play.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I'm struggling with is I'm trying to play the game and I can't stop fucking taking pictures. It's like I've maybe played 5 minutes of this game, but I've spent 5 hours in the photo mode. It's an awesome photo mode, and it's just like there's so many points where like, oh, I got to stop here, I got to like switch the angle. And I just love the options and how easy it is to jump into photo mode too. And I think a lot of the reason why, I know you mentioned you haven't been super keen on it in the past, but for me, I do like jumping into photo mode. But usually there's one or two menu things in the way to keep me from, I don't want to stop the experience. But the fact that it's like one button away from going into photo mode and then you can quickly jump out, I love it. But have you been experimenting with the photo mode for the first time?
Yeah. I tried it out, and it was really cool. But I think the game just looks so good that I don't need to even use it, because I always thought that when you use photo mode, I mean, this shows how naive I was about the whole thing. But I always thought you'd go into photo mode, press like X, for example, and it would take a photo, and then that would be it. But you have to use the share button still, right?
Yeah.
So this just like allows you to like set the scene and then do it. So that took me ages to figure out because I'm an idiot. But when I realized that, I think the game just looks so good anyway. I mean, the lighting is incredible. The weather is just, I've never seen a game that portrays the weather so well, and the way the light cuts through trees, and when it's raining, you got the puddles that are like reflecting it, and it's just incredible. And there's just so many times where I've just thought this is so picturesque. Even without going into photo mode, I can easily just press share, and that goes back to you saying about how the HUD is so clear. There's basically no HUD, and I saw today in the options, I was playing it earlier, that you can even turn the HUD to be even less detailed, which is strange, because when you're exploring around, there is literally no HUD, like unless you're in combat or doing something, there's no HUD at all. So I think that just makes it so easy just to quickly hit share and upload the screenshot or whatever. But yeah, you're right. It's just such a beautiful game. There's just so many times that you want to share this amazing sight that you're seeing, or this amazing scene that you can see. And yeah, and I think, and again, there's a lot of cosmetic options with the armor, and the sword kits, and all the different, even your bows and everything. Um, that yeah, you can just create so many different scenes and things like that. And what did you think about the I don't know if you've seen too much of it, like the upgrade system? So you're out finding supplies and resources, and then you can sort of go to a camp and upgrade and do things there.
So far, I've seen that you can do that, and I find that I don't have enough resources to upgrade anything yet. I think I've
Hmm.
upgraded my bow at this point. But that seemed cool. It
Yeah.
seemed like a standard kind of game mechanic. Is there a lot
Yeah.
of depth there, or what were your thoughts on it?
It's not too deep. I mean, upgrading things like raise their stats. So, for example, like your different armor, that so you got like your samurai armor that gives you more health and more defense. So that will sort of go up every time you upgrade it, and it makes it look different as well. So the first time you get like your samurai armor, it's fairly broken and not filled out. But then by the time you've like fully upgraded it, it's really armored out. You've got
Mm.
like a helmet and everything. Um, so yeah, it's cool in that respect. It's not very deep. It's quite simple. But what I like about it is you never really have to think about what you're picking up. You just sort of you go to a camp, you pick up all your stuff, like the stuff you find, like your resources, your wood or what bamboo, whatever you can find, and then it will just tell you, oh, you can now upgrade this, and then it'll even highlight the camps that have those specific people you need to go to upgrade it. So it's all
Mm.
again, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's just easy. It's just simple for the player to understand and simple for the player to do. And so I think that's where Ghost of Tsushima really shines. Is just it is just so easy, and not in a difficulty aspect, but just easy to play, easy to do things, easy to just get on with. And I think there's so many games that just aren't like that anymore, and which is a shame because Ghost of Tsushima clearly show. I mean, the amount of people I've seen gushing about it online, when it is, it has a lot of problems, but it just shows what's actually important in these games, and the importance is that the player's just having inherently a good time with it. It's just fun to drop in, drop out, and I think they've really, hit the nail on the head here with what they've focused their efforts on and what they've maybe let sort of fall to the side so that they can focus in these areas.
Yeah, you're right. It seems like they're simplifying and trying to make it so there's a lot of issues with like RPGs where it's time consuming. Where okay, do I have enough of
Mm,
the whatever materials? Is this
yeah,
person there that I need to be in the camp? And is
yeah.
there a time difference where I have to wait for them to show up? A lot of that is cool. That sometimes it becomes more like real if you do it that way, but also just is time
Yeah,
consuming, and they kind of want to get you in and
yeah.
out just so you can stay in this world and focus on the other aspects of it. And yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think they're
Hmm.
getting a lot of praise for it because they're just simplifying, changing, and removing a lot of the stress people have had with this type of game in the past.
Hmm.
And yeah, like say The
Yeah,
Witcher, like they're kind of improving on some of those models that just
yeah,
bogged you down where you just were not playing the game. You're
yeah.
just worrying about all this other stuff.
Yeah, and even if you like come across, because I like to do everything sort of in the past. So I'll be like, right, I'm heading here, and I'll do everything on the way to that. So I
Yeah.
have like an endpoint, and then I can do stuff on the way, which normally stresses me out. But I think the thing with Ghost of Tsushima is that even the smallest things you come across, so like the fox dens or the shrines, or like even like the really small little points of interest you come across, you can fast travel to all of them when you find them. So it doesn't matter what it is, you can fast travel to it. So
Oh,
you could get to a fox den, do that, and then you can be like, oh, actually, I kind of want to do that quest over, which isn't on this path I'm on. So you could just quickly fast travel over there, and then once you're done there, you can just fast travel back to this fox den and carry on your route. It's just so you can just zip around the map. Yeah, it's just so delightful to play. It's just yeah, it's really easy. It's not frustrating or long or anything like that. It's just nice to play.
I haven't fast traveled yet. I wonder what are the loading times like because this game, and I was surprised. I finally got my SSD right for this. This is the first game that I threw
Mhm.
on there. But as I was moving it from my normal hard drive to like the SSD, it's a 30 gigabyte game. It's pretty nuts. I mean, The Last of Us was 100 some
Yeah,
gigabytes. And usually that seems to be
yeah.
the standard. They're getting to that 100-ish range, but this is a smaller game. It's able to load really quick, it
Hmm.
seems like, and it's crazy detailed. So I was
Yeah,
hugely impressed by how they did that. But when you're when you're
yeah.
fast traveling, was there any delay at all in the load times?
Not at all. I think that's another big noticeable thing about the game is the load times are incredible. Like that, it takes just a matter of seconds to when you fast travel. Um, in fact, I've even noticed sometimes I'll be reading like the thing on the loading screen. I don't get to finish it.
Right.
It's super super. It's just a really great game. There's sometimes these kind of games do come out where you acknowledge it's got a lot of issues or problems, but because the game's just does all the right things well. So it doesn't, maybe it's not groundbreaking, but everything that matters is done well. And I think that's why everybody's loving it so much.
I wonder too with the sneaking if maybe it would be weird story wise if he became this super badass ninja, because he's not a ninja, he's a samurai, and it's in the story where he's in conflicts with the fact that I don't want to sneak
Mm,
behind someone's back. I go up to man and their idea and their thoughts, where it's like you challenge them and they know
mm,
what they're getting into, and so he's wrestling with
yeah,
that whole thing. So I don't know, maybe story
yeah,
wise that changes like later on, but maybe that's why they don't
hmm
flesh out the sneaking. But I would have liked more options there. It seems like, yeah, once you do get caught, it's really like, okay, I have to fight everybody. But it's times where
yeah,
I'm just not confident that I'm sneaking around the way that I wish I could.
yeah. I think that, so there are a lot of like technique points you can spend on your stealth, and there's quite a lot of things you can do to sort of make it a little bit easier and a little bit more sort of like, for example, even just upgrading your dagger. That means that it's quicker. So
Mm,
before you've upgraded your dagger, it'll take a while before he like kills the person. It's louder, so people might see you. But when it's fully upgraded, he literally just stabs them in the head, and then they're dead. So it's like really quick and silent. But yeah, you make a good point about how he's a samurai and he finds that kind of killing dishonorable. But what I really loved was that made me like, oh yeah, I kind of see what he's saying. I don't want to go against his beliefs or is it Shimura or Kimura's beliefs. I
I
want to like
forget.
stay true to his samurai things. But then the game makes it that the Mongols have prisoners, and if the Mongols see you, then they'll kill their prisoners. And there's a lot of camps in the game where it'll say, sort of as you approach, it'll say rescue the prisoners, and then that you can't go in all guns blazing because these prisoners will then be killed. So then you're like, oh yeah, I need to be stealth so that I can rescue these prisoners from the Mongols. And I think it's a really clever way they've sort of managed that, because that could have been a bit of a plot hole if he's a samurai who's just all of a sudden killing people by stabbing them in the back. And yeah, I mean, it is referenced later on in the story and it's all done sort of fairly well, but I just really liked that sort of little added thing for the player, because where there's conflict for the main character, there'll be conflict for the player as well, especially the players who are immersed with the character. So I think to give you as the player that conflict as well, where the game's like, well, you can do what you like, but there's these prisoners. So if you go in the front gate, then you're going to have to make sure these prisoners don't get killed whilst you're attacking everyone. So it does a good job in making sure that you've got a good reason to use both. But you can play the entire game without stealthing for sure. And if you want to like spend all your technique points in that aspect, I'm sure that's definitely a viable option. But um, yeah, I think the game's trying to sort of show you that with these Mongols, sometimes Jin is going to have to go against his beliefs and do things differently. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I noticed in a positive way. I think it's really cool the way they've sort of incorporated the whole stealth, and how it's not really something Jin wants to do, but he has to do it because of the way the Mongols fight. Um, and I think like at the very beginning, he's saying about how Kotal Khan says about how like he knows exactly how the samurai fight,
Right.
so he knows exactly how to beat them. So it's going to take something that Kotal Khan doesn't know to finally drive the Mongols away. So I think in that respect the story is quite cool and it fits well with the gameplay. Yeah, it's a good little touch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm still, super positive about the whole experience. I need to really jump in. That's my plan this week, is to jump in, and I don't know how far away I am from the end. Do you have any sense of like how close you are to finishing it now that you're like about 20 hours in?
Uh, I don't feel close at all. I
Mm,
think I wouldn't even. I mean, I'd estimate maybe halfway. Yeah, I don't feel I've still got a huge amount of the map I haven't even been
The
to.
map is huge too. When you like
Um,
zoom out, it's a huge
yeah,
island.
yeah. So I'm in like the middle part now. So like the south, I've done like the south bit. I'm now in the middle part.
Gotcha.
I haven't even been to the top. I haven't even explored all of the middle part anyway. So yeah, I think I'd probably, if judging by the map, I reckon I'm probably about halfway. And I'm making sure I sort of do everything along the way. So I'm not rushing through it or anything. So but yeah, I mean, I've heard it's a 40 to 60 hour long game. So I'm expecting a bit of an epic. But no, I'm loving my time with it. And there's been times where it's felt slightly repetitive, but eventually, I might come off of it. But then I'll be thinking an hour later, like, oh, I really fancy playing some Ghost of Tsushima again. So it's obviously doing something right.
Yeah, I agree. That's my plan this week is a jump full force. I wonder if I see a lot of people posting and early on like, oh, just finished, just got the platinum trophy. I wonder if you have to
Mm-hmm.
find everything as part of that platinum, or if there's a way if that's not required. But it seems like that's a daunting task, is to find every item or every point on the map rather.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's an armor that you get at the beginning, which sort of pulsates, like vibrates your controller when you're near an artifact.
Ah,
And I think if you fully upgrade it, you can like make it so that the wind will just take you towards the closest artifact. So I think that's quite a end game outfit for you to wear just when you're mopping up, and I think that would make things quite nice and again just easy for the player to do. So yeah, I'll definitely go for the platinum. It seems like a typical open world trophy list, do all the
right.
missions, find all these things, fully upgrade all these things, and that. So definitely sounds doable, and yeah, I'm looking forward to going for it.
Gotcha. Cool, Cal. Yeah, well, we'll see how we feel after another week of Tsushima. We could jump into some of the news stories here. I mean, I do have the front loaded some of those Tsushima stories this for the week. A lot of it's of the sales and kind of the success
Mm-hmm.
of Tsushima. But we have a UK sales charts. Ghost of Tsushima is the next PS4 exclusive to get top spot. So Push Square's Liam Croft has the article. Ghost of Tsushima is the second biggest PlayStation 4 exclusive of the summer, and just like last month's counterpart, it has debuted in first place in the UK sales charts. The latest open world experience from Sucker Punch Productions didn't manage to come close to the sales figures of The Last of Us Part 2, as noted by GamesIndustry.biz, but it's still a very positive result for what could be another huge hit for Sony. The site notes that physical sales of Ghost of Tsushima were 7% higher than the Days Gone at launch. So also some perspective is in Japan. Apparently they were like selling out of copies too. So to get that, I jumped into Benji Sales on Twitter. He's a games industry sales analyst. Ghost of Tsushima has had a phenomenal launch in Japan, outpacing other Western developed PlayStation Studios titles. So to put into perspective, Tsushima sold at launch 212,000. Death Stranding was at 185,000. Last of Us Part 2 got close, 178,000 units. These are unit sale, physical units. And then what blew everybody out of the water is the Final Fantasy VII Remake has a 702,000 copies sold, physical copies in that launch window. So that's nuts. But it's showing that there's a huge demand in Japan. So also to pull out further, there's this VGC article where they explain on the shortage. In a tweet posted on the official Japanese PlayStation account, Sony explains that Ghost of Tsushima has exceeded sales expectations, leading to stock shortages at several retailers in the country. Sony has yet to publish official sales figures, but PSN API aggregator site GameStat estimates Ghost of Tsushima sold 2 million copies in the first 3 days after release. I'm guessing that's 2 million in total. But yeah, I mean, it's successful, I think. And I thought that before when we saw that initial digital event where they showed off gameplay for the first time, like that half-hour stretch, I felt like, okay, we have a series on our hands. So, you can keep doing these, you can keep pumping these out if they're successful for the next one. Like there is a franchise here.
Yeah. I think it's great to see that it's doing really well. I'm really happy for Sucker Punch because obviously it's such a big jump from Infamous. So yeah, it's really good. It's really good to see, especially considering how soon after Last of Us Part 2 this was. That was a bit of a contention for everyone, but it sold really well. And like I said, I mean, I really have barely been seeing any negativity surrounding the game online. It seems people are loving it, which is a nice welcome change to the reaction that Last of Us 2 had, which was very divisive.
Right.
So yeah, it's just all round nice. It's just nice positivity online from people, and a nice game for me to play as well. I'm enjoying it too.
I agree. Yep. So we'll see. I wonder how they keep selling with Tsushima. Now, this next one here, it's a photo that was circulating online, and apparently it wasn't what we thought it was, but it looks like this PlayStation 5 demo station. So we'll go into the article here. Matt Kim of IGN has it. PlayStation kiosks, not PS5 related. A PlayStation spokesperson has told IGN that the image of what appears to be a PlayStation-themed retail kiosk is not PS5 related. Early Wednesday morning, an image of what appeared to be a PlayStation-themed kiosk began circulating on social media. The photo showed a white and blue colored retail area with a couch, table, and a mount for what appears to be a TV screen. The photo was taken in an unnamed UK retail store by @IronCoreGame. IGN reached out to Sony to inquire about the photo, and PlayStation spokesperson responded that the kiosk is not PS5 related. Sony didn't explain what the kiosk might be for. The image revived speculation that Sony could be preparing to put the PS5 out for pre-order, although the company said the customers will be given plenty of notice before pre-orders go up. Another concern online about the photo was whether such a kiosk is a good idea. Several countries are issuing social distancing guidelines, which includes limits on making contact with public surfaces. A demo station would be counterintuitive to those kinds of guidelines. What do you think, Callum? They're saying this is not a PS5 demo station, but it fucking looks like it. But what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like the weird there's like a sofa and yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like you go to like a showroom place with like showing you like IKEA or whatever.
Right.
It's kind of like something you can see there. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to work out what store that is. I think it looks maybe like a Curry's or PC World or something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand what it is. I mean, for them to say, it's not PS5 related, and why didn't they just tell them what it was then instead of just saying it's not PS? Like, I don't know. It seems a bit weird. So yeah, I'm not really too sure. But yeah, it's got the colors of PS5, so you'd imagine, unless that's just sort of like their new color scheme they're going to go for up until the PS5. But yeah, I just can't imagine what else that could be, and again, why they're not just saying what it is.
I feel like I think they're just trying to keep the cards close to the chest because you have the black, white, and blue, which is the PS5 color scheme now. You have a couch, so it's not like PSVR. It's not an open area. You have that little coffee table. There's a TV mount. There's a little glass box for the console to go in. Although, you know what? That glass box is really short. It's not, and maybe they would just lay it down. That's for the lay down model. But unless they're going to unveil some other piece of hardware, which I highly doubt, that seems like it's for a PS5 demo station. I guess, and I didn't realize until the article brought into perspective that you can't really have a place where everyone's touching it and sharing and sitting on the couch. Although that's like leather, they could just sanitize it, I'm sure, with like wipes and stuff. That is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'd have to have like staff on it, I suppose,
right,
to make sure that there's. But I mean, they're doing that with everything. I mean, I went out for breakfast the other day with my family because it was someone's birthday, and we had to queue outside the restaurant. And sanitize our hands before we went in, and so I mean everything's very regimented. So yeah, like you said, I think that they could definitely do it. They just have to have people staffing it and making sure people are coming in, one or two at a time, and cleaning everything beforehand. But yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird. I've never really seen it. It looks really out of place as well. I don't know. It's just PlayStation being enigmatic as normal, I suppose.
Yeah,
well, they probably don't even have any plans for it. They probably just put it there like this is going to make people question things.
God damn it, they might be doing that. Yeah, this is a cool. I wish I could just like import this into my living room. I want this set up at home. Like, get the cool lights on the side. Everything's blue theme, like in blue, black, and white. No, I'm digging it. This has to. I mean, I don't see any other possibility of what this would be. You know what? If you look closer at the counter, the coffee table, rather, there is a glass box over that as well. So maybe that's where the PS5 would go.
It looks like that glass box doesn't even fit there. It's like kind of
right.
Just been, it's kind of like tilted and yeah. So I don't know. It's just very weird. And it's got like the red tape around it. Like there's a crime scene. I don't know. Maybe someone just came and put it in there who doesn't even work for PlayStation, and they're sort of trying to like wonder, like, is this like vandalism?
Right.
So I don't know. It's it's a weird one.
I guess if what would really drive the idea home is that this is a PS5 station is that if they had like clear speakers going on, because that's the whole thing with the PS5 is that this re-engineered audio that they have capable of doing. So if there was like crazy speakers or something showing off that component, maybe that would really point closer to PS5. I can't imagine what else this would be. This feels like that. It's a demo station, but they're just not announcing it yet. But it seems like exactly.
Well, there's a couch. There's a couch there, so maybe it's demoing that little robot friend who comes and sits next to you when you're playing games.
Interesting. It's possible. He just pops out of the coffee table or something, and he's your buddy.
Yeah, they have to like sanitize him like every time someone's played.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wonder. But yeah, it's strange because it seems like, oh, that's exactly what it is. But then for them to say it's not, I think that's just them, controlling the message until they decide to announce it on their own.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, let's move on from that one. Now, over the week, I don't know if you saw this, Jeff Keighley had a special thing, and he was blasting it online. He went hands-on with the DualSense controller and got to play that. I think it's the Playroom with that little Astrobot character demo from that. So let's go into the details here. IGN's Joe Screbbles has the article. PS5 DualSense controller, first side-by-side with PS4 DualShock. We've gotten a first real look at the PS4 and PS5 controller side-by-side, revealed after a Jeff Keighley live stream about the new DualSense controller. The presenter posted a side-by-side comparison of the two. As expected, the PS5 controller does look a tad heftier than the DualShock, but not hugely so. Keighley mentioned during the stream that the controller felt slightly heavier, but only slightly. How do you feel now that we see these two together next to each other?
Yeah, I think it looks really nice, to be honest. I mean, it took me a while to get used to it, but I think it's really cool. It looks bigger in the right places, I think. I mean, I'm still not sure about how, because I quite like how like the face. I've got a DualShock here actually, so I can feel it and talk properly about it. But I like how like the face buttons are sort of on like a flat surface.
Yeah.
Whereas they seem to just be like coming out of just like the normal curved controller on the new one. So we'll have to see how that feels. But yeah, I'm sure it feels lovely. I mean, they're not just gonna make a controller that feels awful, are they? So yeah, I'm really excited. I think the buttons are really high quality as well. I don't know if that's just me being fooled by the like clear plastic on them. But yeah, I think it looks really nice. I'm really just excited to try one out, put it in my hands after I've sanitized it down. It seems really nice. I like it, and I'm liking the white as well. I think it's quite cool now. I still would prefer it just to be black, but I'm looking forward to giving it a go.
Yeah, I think I've come around to this design a lot more from when it initially came out, but I think I also would prefer black or getting the sacred colors on those symbols too back again, but I still really like that this is different. One thing I'm really digging is the little grips around the thumbstick. So it's like, it seems like a textured area in a ring around the actual thumbsticks, which I really dig. Like the Xbox One controller has that, where it's texturized on the very edge, and you can actually tell in the picture the DualShock does not. It's just kind of a flat rubber. And I like that because for some reason my thumbs all alone will sweat all the time when I'm playing a game. If it's like tense, like if it's like a multiplayer game, my whole body will not be sweating. It's just my thumbs will be sweating. And so it makes it tough. And so and I've tried to buy those like aftermarket snap-on little like rubber grip things, and they always fall off. They're terrible. So if you can texturize the thumbstick, I'm on board.
Yeah, that's like my friend always says. He's always like, he always says I've got wet thumbs. It's just he just always has wet thumbs. Although recently he was saying that his thumbs are now exceptionally dry. So I don't know whether there's something there. So I don't know. Maybe your thumbs will become dry soon as well, and you won't need the extra grips.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get some dry thighs and dry thumbs here pretty soon, but. Yeah, but no, I'm super positive of it. In the actual video he posted, and he goes into depth. He shows off that Playroom demo. He talks about the actual features in the DualSense, where you have the resistance on the triggers, where he says you can literally feel like the pressure build, and that depends on the game. But like if you're drawing back a bow, if you're driving, they have that programmable now. The devs can mess with that, and I guess the haptic feedback or the vibration is something completely different on the controller now, and they're able to like put it in stages where it just feels completely different and almost texturized. It's crazy. I really want to get this in my hands to actually feel what that feels like. But all we
Yeah,
can do
yeah,
is hear about it until then.
yeah. Although it's lost three little holes from its speaker, so I don't know about that.
Oh, you're right. Like the
The
bottom
little like
holes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, so but they better knock a £10 off of it or something because of
Yeah, they won't. But you
that.
think that'd be a good argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing is this has that special not only speaker but like the microphone to where you can talk into it and
Mm,
it's not going to catch outside audio. So in theory, you could use it for like a multiplayer game where you don't need a headset. There is that feature too. Yeah, I just want to get this in my hands and like actually try it out for sure.
yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't think they've announced yet. I'm pretty sure they haven't. Whether you can pick this up and use this on your PS4. I wonder if this will work backwards with the current console.
Yeah.
I know Xbox is touting that with their next one, is that because it's basically the same controller for the Xbox Series X, and
Yeah.
it's going to work back and forth. And you can take your
Yeah.
traditional one and use it for the next gen console too. I understand not using your DualShock 4 on the PS5, but if you could use your DualSense on the PS4, I wonder.
Yeah. Because you can use the DualShock 4 on PS3, but it's a bit, you've got to have it wired up
Right.
and, like the PS button doesn't work and, there's lots of different things. So yeah, that'd be cool if it was just properly backwards compatible. I don't see why not. Maybe it'll obviously probably not have some functionality. Maybe the microphone won't work or maybe the triggers won't feel the same. But yeah, I mean, you'd hope so. And that's just a way for them to make more money because, that they've already said that they know that a lot of people aren't going to make the jump straight away. So it just gives people who are keeping the PS4 something else to invest in without going all the way.
Yep. Now, Callum, as I notice the time, we're going to speed through some of these last ones. The next one
Sure.
deserves more time, but we'll go through the basic overview of it. But I don't know if you read in the news this last week, it was revealed. So Ubisoft is going through this crazy revealing of all this this just crazy stuff, toxic stuff from going on from the inside out, and they're trying to purge it, or they're because of reception, they're being made to purge it out of their community, out of the company rather. So part of that is these execs from the get-go never wanted a woman-led Assassin's Creed. So this is Rebecca Valentine of the gamesindustry.biz. Assassin's Creed Odyssey has 2 leads because Ubisoft execs believe women don't sell. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey reportedly would have originally featured only one protagonist, Cassandra, were it not for a belief amongst Ubisoft executives that women leads wouldn't sell. This is according to a Bloomberg report that further affirms a surge of abuse allegations against senior members of the company that have been widely reported over the last month. So there's a huge article that goes into detail where I recommend everyone read it, but they talk about how even in going back before to another Assassin's Creed Syndicate, there was a woman protagonist that you go back and forth and get to play. She had a more prominent role. They cut that back down. And now you have that woman option, that female option in the newer Assassin's Creed, but also with promotion, they didn't show that off. It was only the male lead, and they didn't reveal that you could be a female lead until that special edition like sculpture that you can buy has the female version of that character for Valhalla.
Yeah.
But how do you feel? I mean, I think it's obvious women characters do sell. You have Tomb Raider, you have now Last of Us. Like, there's plenty of Bayonetta. I mean, there's huge franchises that are just based on female leads.
Yeah, and not only that, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is like I've never seen a game where it's so like I'd say like 99% of the people I've spoken to about Assassin's Creed Odyssey have said that the male option is just awful. Like the playing as is it Cassandra is just the complete superior way to experience the game. All of my friends have said the exact same, even to the point that they didn't even like Assassin's Creed Odyssey when they were playing as the male characters because he was so cringy and just awful. Whereas Cassandra is just a really great character. So yeah, I think it's just a complete, just idiotic thing to think of or to think about in terms of marketability. Nobody I'll play as anyone. I mean, I don't care about. I don't think about whether they're male or female. I just want to play as an interesting character who I'm going to enjoy being for the remainder of that game. I mean, look at Resident Evil. I mean, everyone loves like Jill Valentine, Claire Redfield, all of these characters. I just think it's just pathetic. It's a really stupid way to look at things, and they're rightfully so getting a lot of backlash now. And yeah, and just quickly about Assassin's Creed Origins, I've just done a part on that where you play as Aya on the boat, and even up to then, I was thinking, I hope it's going to let me choose between them, because Aya is so much cooler than Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. So he's a much, much cooler character. So I like Bayek, to be fair, but yeah, I just think it's just idiotic. I mean, most people don't think that way. They just want to play as the most interesting, intriguing character. And by even just having that train of thought when designing a character, you're instantly gonna half-ass something or restrict something because you're already thinking about a different version of it. So yeah, it's just not. There's no place for it.
You know what I do? Who does take this consciously and they can't take themselves out of it, playing as a different gender or whatever, is kids. So my nephews that are boys, they're all and I often play as women for some reason, as a character when I'm playing an RPG or whatever, and they're always like, "Oh, you're playing as a girl? Why?" I was just like, "I don't know. I just want it's not a real world. Let me try being a girl in here." And they're just they're always taken aback. It's like, why would you do that? And if I play, I was playing a Horizon, and I was trying to get them into Horizon. They're like, "Oh, you're playing as a girl? I'm not into this." But they're 8, 10 years old, so kids do this shit because they're dumb. Yeah. But so I guess they're trying to build
Ubisoft executives should not be doing
right. And maybe there was a time back in the day where they were more they were trying to lead to oh, we have to have dudes on the cover of the box art and stuff. But that's also only a reality because you're creating that standard. So it's if you decide to change it, then you can kind of control what the market wants or what they even know is possible. So it's just dumb. But yeah, I just think of my nephews that they're the ones who can't fathom playing as a girl, but they're kids. So it's if these games are for adults or teenagers, they can handle that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's just one of those things that people only think about it when someone brings it up. I don't think about. If I see a game, I don't think, before that it's even introduced a character, I don't automatically think, oh, I hope you play as a guy in this. I hope you don't play as a woman in this.
Right.
You just see the character who's in the story and in the situation, or directing the game forwards, and you sort of make a choice there and then. Is this a character you like? Because I'm not saying that all female characters are good or interesting, but if you take all of the female-led games, they're normally brilliant characters, because you've got to think that, especially in this case, male characters are sometimes made just for the sake of marketability. A lot of people are always like, oh, they've made a female lead just for the sake of being, equality or whatever. But it seems to be it's the other way around. They're making male characters to try and make their game more marketable. So it's just stupid. It's yeah. I mean, I've been quite positive about Ubisoft recently, but I mean, this is just horrendous, and I hope that they get to the bottom of it and just completely eradicate this from their company, because it's just gross.
Yep, I agree. So we'll end it there. I think we'll save this next one for next week. It's just I want to dissect this leak of a Sucker Punch game, but it's quite a long trailer. So I think we'll save that for next week. Yeah. There's Ghost of Tsushima, inspirations in that gameplay trailer. Alrighty. So Callum, we'll end it here. We'll do our little outro. We'll stay on here, and the next hour, we're going to spend dissecting and talking about this Xbox game showcase. So we'll end it there. Where can they find you online?
Twitter at Bear Monroe is where I normally lurk. So yeah.
Awesome. You can keep up with the show on Plastic Card Pod on Twitter as well. That's it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
See you later.
You're too late. I've already summoned Meteor. Okay, let's go.